Recently, I've been thinking about nostalgia, and I feel like this is a topic that comes up for a good majority of people when the new year begins. And I've been having a different view on it to what I used to have. I think part of me was split in two in the past. Part of it was, oh, I kind of miss that, depending on what I was thinking about. And the other part was like, thank fuck that's in the past. You know, I've moved on, life is good. I think currently my view on it is a good in-between. I think that I have found a balance between those two extremities, and I'm not quite sure how that happened. And usually unexplainable feelings and emotions and points of destination within myself are unexplainable but happen naturally, and I think most people would relate to that in many different circumstances. I think that I have come to the point where I am so past being unbothered that I'm not even unbothered. I'm just, in the least cringy way, like untouchable. I think it's an absolute universal experience to look at something in the past, whether that be a year or several years, and at yourself and think, who the fuck is that or was that? And I don't even recognize that person or resonate with that person anymore. And I have that more often than not, which is very strange because I don't feel like I'm too far removed from that person. I just think I have evolutionarily grown, like everyone does, you know, developmentally, that kind of stuff, and age-wise and everything. So it's not that I feel like, oh, I was an arsehole back then, I'm amazing now. It's or like I was shit and dumb and now I'm super smart. It's just genuine growth. Like, we all kind of look back and cringe at things we did when we were younger, like what we wore and shit we said and who we were friends with, and that's such a normal part of growing up. And I just think it's very weird, like that dynamic of, I'm not far removed from this person, but I don't recognize this person, or at least I don't resonate with this person. And I do think part of that is because the life that surrounds us is entirely different now. Like I said, friends are different, and where we live may be different, or so much has changed in those years that it's just unequivocally different in a way that is inevitable and unavoidable. And I think a lot of the time people mix that with grief and mourn parts of themselves, when I don't think you need to do that unless there are parts of yourself that were truly fucking awful, in which case go ahead. But I think that for me, there were definitely parts of myself I didn't like in the past when I was younger, but overall I am the same person, in the sense of I am a creative person, and I am a smart person, and I am a kind person. And that doesn't mean I haven't made mistakes, because I have, but I am equally a strong person and a forgiving person and a clumsy person. You know, like everything, those main features have remained the same. I think there's also a sense of letting go that people struggle with, which I personally, past like the age of like 13, have not struggled with at all, because I was so used to it by that age already, apart from certain situations and circumstances, but that was very different and an extremity. But I like letting go. I like letting go of things that no longer want me, or I no longer want, that no longer align with me, that no longer benefit me in like a healthy, positive way, or that I don't benefit them, if that's a person, a job, like whatever it is. So I think actually it's an interesting topic because it's one that I find very simple, that I think most people find very difficult or hard, whether to wrap their heads around or navigate in the moment. But as I said, I wanted to talk about it briefly and have it as my first Crying Corner topic because it's such a universal experience, especially at this time of the year. And I've seen a lot of people talk about it and, you know, lose friends or go into the year with someone they met like 5 years ago, and it's like, it is just such a topic of conversation at the moment. And it will be at the beginning of every single year that we live throughout our lives. It's a natural process of thinking about it going into something new, a new beginning, a new cycle. And I think that my point also, my purpose with discussing it, albeit briefly, is to validate experiences. You are not expected to be the same person that you were 5 years ago. And if people expect that of you, they are deeply, deeply flawed in their way of thinking, because it's unrealistic, and it pretty much, I would say for 90% of people, is not factually possible. And I think there are moments where I have like an instant reaction to something and I'm like, past me would react so differently, or like past me would react this way and now I'm like, whatever kind of thing, you know? And I think, count how many times I say I think. I think everyone, or most people, go through that thought process of like, I would react very differently when I was 16 to when I am 22, hopefully. Men, maybe not so much. But I also think it's a weakness in some sense for other people when they are unable to let go of parts of themselves or other parts of people or whatever, and that's as someone who has done that in the past. Because you hinder yourself and you hinder those people even unintentionally, and it becomes, I don't know a word to use it that's like smart or makes sense. Like my only word in my brain is like unattractive, but I don't mean that in the sense of like you are unattractive or like in a romance sexual way or whatever. It's not at all like that. I just mean it is an unattractive trait. You become immediately, in my brain, unlikable if you are unable to let go of parts of yourself. We are ever shedding and growing and changing, and if you have a view of someone that you are stuck on and you physically will not change even as that image of them deteriorates and it's no longer true, if you still know this person, of course. I mean, if you're thinking of someone as an arsehole, like your ex is an arsehole and they're no longer in your life, then that's completely different. But I'm saying, like, if you have a view of your friend that you know to this day, and you're like, actually, this thing you did 2 years ago really upset me, so only now am I gonna have a reaction to it because I still view you as you were 2 years ago, then that's when you become flawed. And I think it's just, I can't think of another word aside from wacky. It's just weird. Like, you become weird, and we are all flawed. So me saying that having that thought process is flawed is not even an insult. It is just a fact, because we are all flawed. But I think it's about, look at yourself in that moment. Why can you not evolutionize and grow in this space and time, in these situations? Why can you not do the things that you pride yourself of? For example, like people who tend to not be able to let go kind of have this like sense of pride around confrontation or communication, or just having like a certain standard of how people act, yet they don't do it themselves. So I think it just becomes very contradictory and hypocritical and funny at the end of the day. But But I think also to say that on the other end is kind of let people have that view of you, let people not grow, and you continue to grow, and that's fine equally. People also grow at different rates. Factually, men grow a lot slower than women, mentally. So, you know, it's okay if you outgrow people, because it's neither of you have essentially probably done anything wrong. It's just the growth cycle, you know. So I think, yeah, it's just been on my mind about, like, I haven't recently outgrown anyone or anything, or there's not been any drama on my end, or like I have like stopped being friends with people over like politics and stuff, which I am happy, more than happy to do, but there's not been like a fuck this person, I fucking hate this person kind of thing. It's just been, I don't fucking associate with you, you know. So it's a random subject almost, but I just think with everything coming into play with the new year and seeing other people talk about things and retrogrades and people discussing the past and like their pasts, and it's just a very interesting subject that I think is just ever present, that I wanted to touch on briefly. I think I could go on for hours, and I don't think I even had like much of a point, but I did just want to validate however you feel at this current moment in time, and whether you are the one outgrowing or growing or not growing. At whatever state you are at, you are probably deeply flawed, as am I, and that is okay. And equally, your speed is not to be compared to others' speeds, as long as you remain true to yourself and do not harm others in the process, which is sometimes easier said than done, but you know what I mean. Then so be it. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Very random rant. I'm in a ranty mood today. I ranted on my story today about my career, but anyways, I love you guys very much, and I will see you in the next video.